I want to discuss something here because with Dave Tippett coming in and Ken Holland coming in, a lot of question marks come up about the blue line, the Oilers' blue line. And it's easy for people to look at it and go, well, the Oilers' blue line sucks. And they've been a very maligned group. And yet, Todd McClellan, there were plenty of Oilers fans wanted him out when he got the boot. And a lot that weren't happy with how Ken Hitchcock was running things either. And as a Stars fan, having watched Hitchcock in his second round in Dallas, I had my moments where I wasn't happy either. Dave Tippett is a coach who gets the most out of very little. He is very similar to Barry Trotz in that he can take a team that's not necessarily the most talented bunch and manage to get them close to or into the playoffs. Did it in Arizona with the Coyotes, and he did it in Dallas with the Stars. And then, when the team's so bad that he can't do it, that happens as well. But goals against are usually, in my recollection, not too bad for teams coached by Tippett. Now, they're coming off a year with the 35, 38, and 9, 79 points, and everybody piles on. They had 232 goals for and 274 against. So there is something to be said for fixing issues on the back end. But some of those issues could fix themselves from within. So these are your left-handed defensemen. These are your right-handed defensemen. Ideally, you have 3 of each. Ideally. You're not rolling out extra right-handed or extra left-handed defensemen. Ideally, you have 3 of each. On the left side, you have Sekera, and I have ranked them by their cap hit. Sekera is the highest cap hit among defensemen, but he missed 58 games this year, and he's only played 60 games in the last 2 years. Andrej Sekera was definitely a big part of that blue line in 2017 when they made the playoffs, and missing him for over half of their games for the last 2 years has definitely made a difference. He has a modified no trade, 15 teams on it, and word out of Edmonton is they want him to stick around and be a mentor to the younger players. So Clefbaum, who also comes under a lot of criticism and ridicule, he missed 21 games this year, and I don't think he was 100% a lot this year. And I like Oscar Clefbaum. He is still one of my favorite blue liners in the league, and I understand there's a lot of people who aren't sold on him, but still, going back to 2017, when they did make the playoffs, Clefbaum was a major part of that. He was fantastic. So a bounce-back year is possible. Darnell Nurse. Nurse took massive steps this year as a National Hockey League defenseman, in part because you got Clefbaum and Sekera out, and also because when Hitchcock came in, Nurse seemed to play better under Hitchcock than he did prior to Ken getting there. And it's not anything against McClellan. Sometimes players just play better under certain coaches. Manning I've got on the board, but I don't think Manning's going to play. I think Manning's going to be gone before the season starts. Cap friendly, he's still technically part of the organization. I don't see him being an Oiler next year. So you've got Caleb Jones in the minors. He's 21. He had a cup of coffee for them this year this year during the regular season. I think they'd like to get him into the lineup. You have Dmitry Samorukov, 19 years of age, draft pick in 2017, and he's been brought over playing in North America this season. And I'm not saying that he necessarily is going to be an answer or anything, but he's on the depth chart, young kid. There is a lot to look forward to if you're an Oilers fan. So on the left side, if they bring in Caleb Jones somehow, it's going to be tricky because, as I've pointed out, you've already got 3 NHL-ready defensemen on that left side with Nurse, Clefbaum, and Sekera. The only concern I would have with those 3, offense. So it's not just a matter of, they're terrible in their own end. It's also offensive generating opportunities from that back 6. Now on the right side, this is where I can see the issues. Larson didn't miss any games, but Adam Larson didn't take a step forward this year either. I still like Adam Larson, but I don't like him as a top 2. That's absolutely not his spot. Chris Russell, who has a modified no trade, he can put a 10-team list there. He missed 10 games this year. I think Russell's gone. So he has a $4 million cap hit one way or the other. I don't think Russell will be on the Oilers' blue line because of who's up behind him. And Matthew Benning, who missed 12 games. I know he was a healthy scratch at points this year. I don't think he's coming back either. So you've got Joel Persson, I guess, from Sweden. So Joel Persson, who's 25 years of age, signed with them in January. He will get every opportunity to play. And then you've got Evan Bouchard, who I think everybody is expecting to play. Evan Bouchard, if he could be that offensive blue liner that the Oilers desperately need. And you look at this top six, and it's no wonder that they're giving up goals, because you can't generate offense with this six. So Bouchard is going to get every opportunity this year to step in, probably bump people down the lineup. And so for that reason, I think you get Larson stays. I think Bouchard comes up and plays in that top four role. Ethan Bear's going to get his chance. Bear had a bit of a backwards turn this year, so it looked like he was going to be a regular this season. It didn't work out. Bear's going to get every chance to make the roster next year, and that makes for an interesting blue line right there, because if Caleb Jones steps in, Bouchard and Bear step in, that's 3 of your top 6 potentially that have been changed out. But again, it's which 3 come out for those 3 to go in. Notice I haven't even talked about who necessarily they could end up acquiring during the offseason. You've got Joakim Nygard, who they just signed this week, 26 years of age. He's going to get an opportunity to play on the wings. Tyler Benson, who's down with their Bakersfield team, he's going to get an opportunity, I would think. And I'm a fan of his from when he played in Vancouver. I really hope he succeeds. And of course, Yamamoto should get another opportunity next season to play for them. And the reason that I have wingers on the board is because you could maybe move somebody else out in order to bring somebody in here. And I don't necessarily think that it's that bad for them, because again, with a Dave Tippett coach team, it's probably going to be a very defensive game that you see. So the only thing that it could necessarily hurt could hurt Connor McDavid's offensive numbers. But as shown when Ken Hitchcock first got there, McDavid's numbers were down, but the Oilers were winning more. McDavid doesn't care as long as they're winning. So I think when you look at wild cards, Jujhar Khaira got ice time due to his work ethic. I don't know that the offense is there, but if he can show that, if he can improve that, he could end up being a guy that allows them to move other guys out. I think that the development of Jujhar Khaira, a big physical player, kind of really exposes how Milan Lucic is absolutely at this point he can go. Zach Kassian was cast into a top 6 spot that he really probably shouldn't be in. And I know there's always that temptation. I know in Vancouver we would see that. We'd have a couple good games. You want him in the top 6, and they'd be in the top 6, and it didn't quite work. But he's such a big, physical young guy, and you want to see it. I mean, I know he's not as young now as he was then, but he shows glimpses, right? And of course, Jesse Puljujarvi, who is the big name out there that the Oilers likely, I would think, are going to look at moving on from. Although with a brand new brain trust, maybe Dave Tippett says, you know what, I can help this kid, and maybe he sticks around, and maybe he gets a shot again at a top 6 winger spot. Sam Gagner, who put up 10 points in 25 games after being reacquired by the Oilers this season from the Toronto Marlies, where he was loaned from the Vancouver Canucks. Gagner to me is kind of a bit of a wild card. I mean, it's a big price tag with Gagner, and he's going to get a shot at playing third line time. So the Oilers can take some of this and add that to what they've got in their lineup, move this around, and I think with a brand new general manager in charge, you've got a shot. And, you know, at the draft, they have a chance to pick up another blue chip prospect. This is supposed to be a very, the draft's hard to project. I did that mock draft earlier in the week, which I know some people weren't happy. I only went to number 7. But it is so hard to figure out who's going to go in what order, and it's just kind of here you go. Sure, this guy, sure. And it would have turned into that. If I'd gone beyond number 7, it would have just been a mess. I would have been like, oh, sure, yeah, this guy, sure, because they're all kind of projected as close. I've looked at numerous mock drafts, and they're really kind of all over the place with where guys are going to get drafted. With Ken Holland doing the drafting, that should definitely help over Peter Chiarelli. And with some of these young guys coming up, I'm telling you, the Oilers, I'm not saying they're going to be contenders or anything like that, but I really think that that the amount of comments made about how terrible their blue line is, I think they're overblown. Could it be better? Yes. But I think with the right coaching, and again, if Bouchard can step in and provide that offensive spark, that can make a huge difference to that whole blue line. If Clefbaum stays healthy, if Sekera, and it's a huge if that Sekera can stay healthy and get back to anywhere near the defenseman they signed as a free agent, it can make a huge difference. Because Sekera was generating offense before injuries really slowed him down. He only had 4 assists this year in the games he did play. So they definitely need that. And Nurse might end up being that ace in the hole. Maybe Darnell Nurse becomes part of that offensive blue line that they'd be looking for as well. It's going to be a tricky offseason, but again, I don't think it's that bad. And they do have the projected cap space of $10.7 million. If somebody takes contracts off their hands, if they can get that cap space up a little bit, maybe they're in the mix to upgrade the blue line. I did look over the UFA class on the blue line and try to figure out somebody who might work for Edmonton, and I came up with nada. I came up with guys who really weren't upgrades, or players who likely wouldn't sign as unrestricted free agents with Edmonton, and using like Erik Karlsson being the obvious example of I can't see Karlsson with the Oilers. At just, unless he said, oh, I'd love to work with McDavid, I think I could make a huge difference. But I don't know how much mutual interest there would be there. But let me, or I should say, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below regarding the Oilers blue line. I know it is a much maligned blue line, and I get why, but the Islanders blue line wasn't thought of very highly this year either, and then they end up posting the lowest goals against in the league. Coaching can make a huge difference. So, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.